I'm sure it'll be delicious. Okay, bye. Hello, everyone. I'm just getting sent photos of food and getting messages and everything. And everyone's here. It's so exciting. Hi, Jerry. Welcome. Jeff and Kay. The first three to log in this afternoon. Nick, Emily and Kevin. Yay. Michael's here. Katie's here. Alison, Paul. Oh, Gruyere. Excellent. Gruyere. It's becoming a bit of a tradition. Gruyere. Maybe some focaccia. I wonder what Angela and Simon are eating tonight. Oh gosh, you're all jumping on so quickly. Alison, yes, no, I'm here. Can you see me now? Hi. Oh, Aravind, you're back. Hi, good to see you. Sam, pleased to see you too. Michael and Rod. Evening. Kenneth. Rob and Deb. Renee and Matt. Yay. Hi. And Jeff Quirk. Good to see you all. Welcome. It was actually such a beautiful day yesterday, and I was thinking, Chardonnay weather, it's fabulous. And now for those of you who are anywhere near Moorooduc, you'll see that the weather has set in and it's cold and rainy and miserable again. I had to put my jumper on. I wasn't planning to be all rugged up today, but anyway, that's all right. One of the great things about Chardonnay is that you can drink it in any weather. It's all good. Oh, someone's sending me pictures of food again. Angela. Sorry, everyone. Oh, yum. That looks delicious, Angela. Well done, as always. You're doing a beautiful, beautiful job. Who else is here? Oh, the McFalls, hello. Hello, Sue and Daryl, and Karen and David are here with some cheers. Shell and Andrew, roasted veggies. I thought that might actually appeal to you guys. It's one of my favourites at the moment and really good with Chardonnay. Nicholas and Craig, welcome to New South Wales. Very good. I hope it's a little bit warmer and toastier up there. Yes, focaccia, veggie chicken, yum. All right, now I have a little confession to make tonight. That we usually get stuck in with a crack of opening the bottle. I had to give half of my bottle of Chardonnay away to Jeremy this afternoon because we sold too much Willow Creek Chardonnay. So that's pretty good, isn't it? But tonight we are tasting the Willow Creek 2018 Chardonnay, made by the fabulously talented and stunningly brilliant Geraldine McFall. Hi, Jerry. Jerry's on the chat. So if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to chat away. You just have to imagine the crack. Now, Willow Creek, so hang on, step back. Geraldine McFall, doing drinks outside. Thanks, Craig. Oh, hi, Penny. Good to see you. Shell, I'm using, thanks, Jerry. I'm using a Pinot glass because this is a lovely, relatively richly flavoured Chardonnay, and I think the Pinot glass gives you plenty of opportunity to swirl and smell and let it open up. It's also quite a young Chardonnay, being from 2018, so a little bit of air will make it evolve and develop very nicely. Ben and Danielle checking in from sunny Sydney. Beautiful. Cronulla, excellent. Enjoy. I'm putting some wine in my glass because it's just about time for that. Michael, yes, swirl and swirl to get this wine opening up. Also, I took mine out of the fridge about half an hour ago, but it's so cold here, it hasn't really warmed up, which is a bit sad. Anyway, cheers, everyone. Lovely to see you all. That's the trick. So now that I've got some wine in my glass, let me tell you some stories. Some stories of, yes, Jeff is a hero deliverer, Michael. I've got to say, Jeff and I actually, I've got to say that both of us did a pretty epic job yesterday. We have a corporate tasting, private corporate tasting coming up next week. So we had a lot of twin packs that we had to deliver, and we were driving all over town. So it was a big day. I'm still feeling a little shell shocked from yesterday's deliveries, and I'm very glad to be sitting down at Moorooduc with you guys having a glass of Chardonnay rather than being out on the road delivering. The other really interesting thing for me in a town that's supposed to be locked down, all the little suburban streets were bustling with people and cars and traffic. And it was only when I got out onto the big roads that it felt like a lockdown town again. So I think Melbourne is getting really sick of being locked down and is rebelling a little bit. So Melburnians, hold tight. We can do this. I know it's frustrating and annoying and we want to go and see our friends and be out in the sunshine. It's easier when it's raining. But hopefully we'll get some good news on Sunday. I don't think we'll be going out to restaurants next week, and I don't think Cellar Door will be open next week, but hopefully we'll get some good news about being able to maybe go and visit our friends a little bit, maybe travel a little bit further than 5 kilometres, maybe gather with a few more friends at the park for a picnic when the sun comes out again, and that would be nice. So courage, my friends. Right. Geraldine McFall, I'm coming back. Are you blushing, Jerry? So I'm coming back to Jerry, and you're going to have to fill in the gaps, Jerry, because I've not done my proper research. It feels like I've known Geraldine McFall forever. She's been a winemaker down here for a long time. She worked at Stonia for quite a while, and she's now worked at Willow Creek for quite a while. And wherever Jerry goes, she makes beautiful wine. She has a very, I think the thing that I love about Jerry's wines is that they have really great flavour and texture, but they have an elegance and a finesse and a lift to them, which is always really a joyous thing in the glass. It makes you want to keep coming back for more. So they're certainly not lacking in flavour or intensity, but they're not heavy either. They've got elegance and beauty to them and a lacy kind of quality to them. So very exciting. It was difficult to decide which of Geraldine's wines I wanted to look at this tasting, in the same way that when we had Barney here as our little tasting guest a few weeks ago, it was very difficult to decide which wine to choose. So I just chose the one that I'm really enjoying drinking at the moment. And for me, that is the Willow Creek Chardonnay. Now, I also have to tell you, if you like this wine, and I've got my little collection, I've got show and tell today. If you like this wine, then you must try their Geraldine's single vineyard Chardonnay. It's called Petrichor. There you go, show and tell. Blush away, Jerry. I'm going to keep praising you, so just get used to it. The Petrichor Chardonnay, which is, I think 2018 was the first year that you guys made this as a single vineyard release. And please correct me if I'm saying the wrong thing. I'm very good at taking correction and instruction from people on chat. Petrichor, it's such a fabulous name for a Chardonnay, and some of you, I knew Rob, I thought you might get that. It's a word that people who know about weather will know about, because it's the word that describes the smell of the earth after the rain. I think that's right. And it's that beautiful, or when, you know, in summer, when it's been hot, and then you have and the roads are hot and the footpaths are hot, and then the rain comes in and wets the tarmac, and that smell of rain on dry earth, rain on dry, that beautiful minerally smell. And it's a great descriptor for what we're looking for in Chardonnay, apart from just fruit. Fruit, spice, some herbal notes are all good, but that minerality. And when people talk about minerality, they, you know, a lot of people get sort of worried about what that means. Does that just mean more acid, or what are we talking about? And for me, it's that earthy, stony, flinty. Sometimes there's a ferrous character, iron filings, almost a bloody sanguine character in some Pinot Noirs. That's minerality for me. And it's definitely an aroma and a flavour, but it's very difficult to describe. And that also that saline character. You know, we're talking about the saltiness of some of the Moorooduc Chardonnays. That's the minerality. So Petrichor is that character, rain on dry earth. You get it in spades in the single vineyard wine, but I get a little bit of it in the Willow Creek Estate Chardonnay as well. So let's have a little taste. I'll talk about another couple of Willow Creek wines in a minute, but or Geraldine's wines, in fact. I think one of them is not from Willow Creek. So just a little. So beautiful golden colour. You just look at that wine in the glass and you think, well, you know that's not going to be a wussy Chardonnay. It's not going to be a flavourless Chardonnay. It's not going to be Chardonnay with acid and no fruit. But stick your nose in there. It's got this beautiful lemon, grapefruit, aromatic, a little bit of that minerally character that we're talking about, that earthy character. There's some nice richness there. There's a little bit of honey. But it's just beautifully brought together. And as it's a bit cold, as it's just warming up, it is still quite tight. So I think that will evolve a lot in the glass. Not Ferris Bueller, Simon and Angela. Jeremy is texting me as well with Petrichor. Google, if you want to know more about Petrichor, Google Paul Kelly Petrichor. It's a word that comes from CSIRO, and Jeremy thinks that Petra equals essence. Latin, possibly. There you go. Thank you, Jeremy. Petra, stone, and liquor, and Ica, blood of the gods. Oh, thank you, Michael. So Simon and Angela, ferrous as in Ferous, like iron, Fur is the French and Latin name for it. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of our linguistics, crazy linguistics. I'm just going to have a sip. The first sip of delicious wine is always such a lovely way to end the working day and start the first sip of delicious wine is always such a lovely way to end the working day and start the evening. There's a little bit of, you still get that citrus fruit coming through, the lemon and the grapefruit, but there's this little kind of toffee popcorn in the background, which is really lovely, and beautiful tangy acidity. I was reading up on the production notes, and I believe that Geraldine makes this wine in a very similar way to the way that we make our Chardonnay. I'm not sure if you inoculate, Jerry, or whether you're playing with wild yeast these days, but that was the only thing that I thought could have been changed. Oh, there you go. Petrichor was actually coined by an Australian woman when the aroma compound was actually identified. Yay, go girl power. Thank you, Jerry. I can always rely on you to get to the bottom of the right story. So this Chardonnay from a beautiful vintage, 2018. You know, we've kind of jumped around vintages over the last few weeks, and so just reminding you guys that 2018 was a really terrific vintage. Beautiful weather during flowering and fruit set, so we got really good flowering, really good fruit set, lovely crops on the vines. You had to be a little bit careful not to maybe overcrop in some places, but getting all those lovely, thank you, Jerry. So tame Willow Creek yeasties, no packets. Ah, cool. So have you actually, do you grow them up in the laboratory and add them in from your own yeast reposits, or just let them do their thing? Oh gosh, I'm getting texts. Gee, you guys are being very interactive. Oh, Shell's sending me pictures of food. Hang on. I might have to look at that later. Oh, that looks delicious, Shell. Yum. Yeah, no, well, you don't want to be a finicky winemaker, Jerry, making more work for yourself than you need to. That would be crazy. Actually, I've got to move my head because Jill said just before we started, she said, quick, you better put some flowers up on the mantelpiece because it's looking very bare and miserable up there, and my head's in the way of the flowers. So here you go. There you go, flowers on the mantelpiece. Thank you, Jill. Hi, Michael and Nikki. Flowers on the mantelpiece. They came from Sue's garden, so thank you, Sue. Good to see you, Michael and Nikki. I'm glad you made it. You haven't missed much, just a whole lot of, my usual drivel, complaining about the weather, drinking Chardonnay. It's all good. Petrichor. It's a word that we've learnt today. It's opening up a little bit now, Jerry, just a little bit. While we're waiting for this wine to open up and while I'm sort of riffing on various things, so we've talked about the Willow Creek Chardonnays, and I've got to say to you guys, Willow Creek has gone through the most incredible evolution as a property and as a business in recent times. You may now know it better as Jackalope and Rare Hair, which is the name of the very fancy hotel and restaurant, Jackalope, that has been built on that site by the new owner of Willow Creek. He's not so new anymore. I think he bought it 4 or 5 years ago. Is that right, Jerry? Or longer? Probably she's going to tell me 10 years probably because time goes so fast, particularly in lockdown. Hi, Kate. Lovely to see you. Yeah. Science, chicks, and Oz. What a great combination. But Jackalope, if you ever feel like really kind of don't let me in the hotel there. That's fair enough, Jerry. You know, with your muddy boots and your black jeans, you stay out in the winery. 2013. That is nearly 10 years. 8 years. 7 years. 7 years. Let's do. Maths is not my greatest strong point these days. Very different soils, Rob. You're right, and I was getting to that. So. Willow Creek is in Merricks, and Merricks is on the eastern side of the Mornington Peninsula. Is that right? Hang on. Yes, the eastern side, and they have, so they're sort of getting down closer to sea level compared to, say, Red Hill and Main Ridge, and even probably, I'm not sure how high you guys are at Willow Creek, Jerry. You might want to just type a number in for us there. We're 80 metres above sea level here at Moorooduc, which is the highest point of this northern part of the Mornington Peninsula. But when you go to the south and to Red Hill and Main Ridge, they're up around 300 metres above sea level approximately. So there's a huge rise, and that's because of ancient volcanic activity. And so they have the red soils from the volcanoes. We have the sandy soils here in the northern part of the peninsula from the alluvial seabed soil, not volcanic soil. And Merricks, I believe, has got a lot more of the red soil at lower altitude, and also with very different weather coming sort of around from that side of the peninsula. Cool. Michael. James, hi, how you going? Halliday reckons the Chardonnay has no MLF. Geraldine, does your Chardonnay have any malolactic fermentation these days? Hang on, I'll just read the... I think that's correct. No MLF? We'll get an answer soon. It does have a lovely lemony acidity, but it's not overly acidic. And I think that's one of the nice things about growing Chardonnay in the northern part of, okay, about 60 metres at the front gate, 80 metres at the back of the Pinot, red soils to halfway down the drive, slightly sandy as you go down the front gate. Yeah, so you've got that kind of mix of the red soil and the sandy soil, but more of that influence of the volcanic soil in Merricks, and getting a lot more of the weather. You're sheltered from the weather that comes from the west, but you get the weather that comes in from the east and probably rules up the peninsula from the south as well, I'd say. So quite close, quite different. Yes, it has MLF. I thought it did. Yeah, about 40% in the 2018, James. So, 2018 was a warm year, and so quite ripe flavours and a lot of wines. If you wanted to pull back on your Merlots, then 2018 was quite a good year to do that. Jill's just off to pop the cats to bed. Yeah. Oh, delicious. Hewan also suggests that you should drink this with a roast chicken, which I think would be very delicious. Jeff, the warmer weather will prompt less MLF for some people, because often if you have it depends on the total amount of acidity in the wine, and a cooler year will tend to have higher acids than a warmer year, because you get, in a warmer year, you'll often get more evolution. The acid will soften more as the grapes ripen. But also it depends on how much malic acid is in the juice as compared to tartaric acid in the juice, because the malic acid is the acid that changes from malic acid to lactic acid during an MLF. And often in warmer weather, you can get higher levels of malic acid. And so if you do a full malolactic fermentation, then you get a much bigger change in the acid levels and the flavours. So you might choose to block some of the. I want a roast chicken too, Jerry. It's not fair. They always talk about food that they're eating, and I get really sad and hungry. Okay, so you're just doing the listen and tasting in your imagination. Well, that's good, and hopefully you'll have your tasting partner back to taste this wine when you're ready. It has got beautiful acid, Michael, and I think that's about, and that's the decision that the winemakers have to make about whether to let the wine go through a full malolactic fermentation. And again, we were talking about. I did a tasting for another group last Friday, and they were asking me, how do you only get 20% new oak in a wine? And I had to explain that when we're making wine in barrels, usually you have a lot of different barrels of the same wine, and sometimes you will have a certain number of new oak barrels and a certain number of older oak barrels, and then you blend it together before you put it in the bottle. Same thing goes for malolactic fermentation. If you're allowing your Chardonnay to ferment or finish fermenting in barrel, which I believe this wine is fermented in barrel, Jerry, then once the primary ferment's finished, you can taste through the barrels. And if they haven't started to go through a malolactic fermentation, or if you think they look better pre-malolactic fermentation, you can then chill them and sulphur them and kill off any potential malo bugs in the barrels, and that's how you stop those barrels from going through malolactic fermentation. And to get 40% of wine going through malo and 60% not means that Jerry must have sulphured 60% of the barrels early and let the other 40% either go through a natural malolactic fermentation or inoculated them for malo. So then you take the two batches and blend them together and make sure that there are no viable malo bugs left in the wine by either hitting it with a lot of sulfur or sterile filtering it or doing a bit of both, and that will allow you to have a wine that's got a partial malolactic fermentation but is stable in the bottle. I'm just reading the messages. Penny, roast chicken with pre-lentil salad sounds delightful. Did your wine arrive yet, Penny? I'm guessing it might not have, but anyway, that will still be lovely. I hope it has. Michael, why am I phone it? The current summer's home over a meal at Salix. Ah, lovely. Duck and Pinot, yay. Lactic acid bacteria, yes, super sensitive to sulfur dioxide. Yeah, awesome, cool. Do you sterile filter this wine before you put it in bottle, Jerry? Jeremy always says to me that a really good way to get Chardonnay to go through a malolactic fermentation, if it hasn't already gone through, is to bottle it. Very, very good, Penny. I'm glad. Moorooduc, yes, that would be lovely as well. It is opening up beautifully, isn't it, Craig? Yeah. So I think Jerry, a lot of people sort of get all sort of twitchy about sterile filtration and this, that, and the other. I think it's a really good tool to use for a Chardonnay because the worst thing for your Chardonnay is for it to start re-fermenting or going through a more of a malolactic fermentation once you've put it in the bottle. That can be very unpleasant. You'll get cloudy wine and nasty smells, and just none of this happiness that we're seeing in the glass here. As this wine continues to open up, and you may have heard Polly barking in the background, and you'll be pleased to know that she's haranguing Richard for cashew nuts again, I think. She's completely addicted to cashew nuts and thinks that if she shouts enough, she'll get given them. And she's proven herself to be correct, because it's sometimes the only way that we can shut her up. Anyway, I was going to talk to you a little bit about some of Jerry's other wines, because she doesn't just make delicious Chardonnay. She makes delicious Pinot Noir as well. And she makes an estate Pinot Noir, but her O'Leary Block Pinot Noir from 2018, I'm really looking forward to drinking that bottle one day soon. Although it's the sort of wine that probably should be popped down in the cellar for a little while, but I probably won't let it do that. And some of you have heard me talking about Nebbiolo and the fact that we have 8 secret Nebbiolo, not so secret anymore, Nebbiolo vines at the bottom of our vineyard to see if they can A, survive, and B, ever set fruit and ripen fruit in this climate. Because as we have discussed before, I and my father are obsessed with really good Nebbiolo, and we figure that if it ever gets to the stage where we can't get, yes, I thought you'd get excited about that, Craig. If it ever gets to a stage where it gets too hot for us to grow Pinot Noir, wouldn't it be fun if we could grow Nebbiolo instead? We have no idea whether the Nebbiolo is ever going to work. So far, it's creeping along slowly. The vines look quite healthy, but we haven't yet seen any evidence of fruit there. But Geraldine makes a delicious Nebbiolo called Repent, and I believe this is your own label, Jerry. 2019, and the fruit, I should have done my research, because these glasses are starting to get old and I have to take my glasses off to read the small print on labels. This fruit is from somewhere else. I can't remember where it's from, Jerry. You'll have to tell us. Type faster, woman. But this is delicious. It's a really yummy, crunchy, medium-bodied, summery Nebbiolo that's just really beautiful. It's not trying to be Barolo, which is awesome, because we don't try to be Burgundy either. It's a really beautiful. It's from the Pyrenees. Thank you, Jerry, from the Malakoff Vineyard. Michael and Nikki, no, I don't think Australian Nebbiolo will ever be like a true Barolo, but I also think that, Nikki, I also think that most Nebbiolo is being grown in the wrong places in Australia, in places that are maybe a little too sunny, a little too warm, and they're ripening pretty fast. But we're not in Piedmont, and we really, I think we really have the potential to do fun things in Nebbiolo, in the same way as in the 80s we were told not to bother planting Pinot Noir because we weren't going to be able to make wine like Burgundy. And we don't want to make Burgundy. We don't want to make, something that's trying to look like Burgundy. We want to make wine that tastes of where we are. And yes, the grape variety, absolutely. And we want to, we really want to embrace the characters that the grape variety brings to the wine. So yes, for Nebbiolo, we want to see that beautiful perfume. We want to see that incredible texture and tannin and acid and all of those things that come together in a great Nebbiolo from Piedmont. But we want it to taste different, because otherwise it won't be as exciting. And we don't know where the best Nebbiolo is going to come from in Australia yet. Oh, look, Rob, the best of Burgundy is fabulous, but the best of Australian cool climate Pinot Noir is fabulous in a different way. Isn't it, Polly? Hey, Polly, I'm trying to talk to my friends here on the computer. She's she throws these weird little temper tantrums. It's very funny. She goes, does circles and jumps up and down and barks like a crazy thing. Simon and Angela, Nebbiolo has been planted quite extensively in the King Valley, and there are a couple of people who are producing very nice Nebbiolo in the King Valley. I think Paul, is your dog listening to Polly and losing his mind? I apologise. Pizzini and the King Valley do a great Nebbiolo. And there's a few other people who do. Yeah, your dogs are perfect, Michael and Nikki. Of course they are. Not like silly poodles here at Moorooduc. Anyway. All the dogs are talking to each other over YouTube as well. Oh, good, Gilly. King River Estate. I haven't tasted that one for a long time. Do they still exist? It's, I think having a wine business in the King Valley or in the Alpine Valley is really hard work because they're that much further away from Melbourne and that much further. Stop growling, Gilly. Stop it. Sit, good dog. It's really hard to engage with your customer base being that far away from Melbourne. A lot of those businesses, and I think they've really struggled during the lockdown, the COVID lockdown, because we have Montalcino, yeah, absolutely. They've missed out on all of their tourist travel of people driving through to go to the snowfields over winter. And I was talking to the Del Zotto boys recently, and they were just saying it's so depressing because they're not established enough to have really loyal mailing list customers in the way that we've been so lucky to have, and I think that they're really struggling because they sold a lot of their wine through restaurants and had a lot of support through restaurants. And while restaurants have been closed down, that's been hard. So if you do like King Valley wines, then jump on their websites and buy some now, because I think they'd be very, very grateful for the business. And I think it is one of those things that, we're talking about imported wines, we're talking about Burgundy, and we're talking about Barolo, and they're lovely. And I'm certainly not discouraging you from continuing to buy and drink those when you can. But I think one of the other things that this whole lockdown has really brought home to us is how important local business is. We export a little bit of wine, and export's been very up and down this year, and we've been so very lucky to have our local customers, particularly the people we can hand deliver to, but also our direct customers in New South Wales and in Queensland, and people who are supporting us through this time. That people have really kind of been incredibly good at coming home to our favourite brands, and we really appreciate that. So we hope that you're going to continue drinking lots of Moorooduc Estate wine into the future, even when we're let out to play. They do make a lovely Prosecco, Kate. I agree, and I think that's another story. Have we got time? We're getting close to getting, I think, probably to time. But and we've got to come back to talk about Willow Creek a little bit more in a moment. But I've got to talk to you about Prosecco, because it's been very interesting to watch Italy and King Valley basically sort of fighting for the name of Prosecco. And Prosecco is very much, has always been the name of the wine style, but also has been, up until very recently, the name of the grape variety. Prosecco grapes make Prosecco wine, beautiful, beautiful. Whereas the Italians had a look to see and saw what Champagne had managed to do, and saw what Tokai in Hungary had managed to do to sort of own the name of the wine. And it's all about the regional name. So in the Veneto, where Prosecco comes from, they've turned around a few years ago and said, well, the grape variety is actually Glera, and the name Prosecco is the Italian name of the region that it comes from, which is not actually true. They've sort of tried to reinvent history, but they've taken Australia to the European Union 3 times now to try and get a ruling that we're not allowed to use the name Prosecco anymore. They failed so far, but Wine Australia seems to think that they're going to be able to get that through and that we won't be able to call the wine Prosecco anymore in Australia, which I think is a terrible shame. But I'll be very interested to see what Del Zotto comes up with as an alternative name for their Prosecco, because they're very inventive boys, and boys, there's a couple of girls who work there as well, but the Del Zotto boys and John Baxter, who works for them, who's a very good friend of mine, are very inventive, and they'll come up with a good name for it, I'm sure. Jeff, we can't wait to have you back for a Jules lunch either. But I also have to say, in the meantime, we're absolutely blown away by the reaction that we've had to our fundraising call out, and I think there's at least a couple of you guys who have ordered Jill's dinner for next week on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I have to say, sadly, well, happily, sadly, if you were planning to order, you've missed out because they've all sold, and Jill will have a nervous breakdown if I ask her to make more. But yes, I knew, Karen, you've certainly got a Thursday dinner, and if you were meaning to order it and hadn't got around to it, then hopefully, if things go really well next week and Peter and Jill are still talking to each other at the end of the cooking, we may be able to offer something again in the not too distant future. So just watch this space. And for those of you who've got a dinner coming to them, it will be delicious, and well done for getting in so quickly. So we're pretty excited, and I hope it's not going to break the two of them in the kitchen. No, they'll be fine. So what was I going to say? Hey Jerry, are you guys still doing? Are you doing any more rare hair meals, or is that all finished? I think this weekend was the last weekend for it, but I had a delicious rare hair. Is the space that was the cellar door originally for Willow Creek, and now it's a more it's not really casual dining, but it's a more casual than Jackalope, which is very high fine dining. Rare hair is lovely food, terrific opportunity to sit around, have a glass or two of wine, and just really enjoy it. And while we've been in lockdown, they've been doing these incredible meals on weekends, which is awesomely delicious. Sam, you'll be okay. It'll be okay. I've actually had to field a lot of phone calls from people who are feeling exactly the same way as you, bit devastated, but Jill's put her foot down. She's done all her shopping. She's got started cooking, and she can't make any more this time. So just watch this space for the next time. Penny, so the name Prosecco is the name of the style of the wine, but they used to call the Glera grape, which is the grape that Prosecco is made from. They used to call it. Oh, Michael and Nikki. Good work. Sam might come over to your house and beat down your door to steal your dinner if you're not careful. Yes, so Prosecco Glera, the whole story. It's beautiful sparkling wine style that is nice and fruity and easy. Anyway, we would love to do a New South Wales dinner up in your part of the world at some stage. Grossi a Casa will be delicious tomorrow night as well, Kay. Enjoy. So, Jerry, is there anything that I need to tell these people about your beautiful Chardonnay? Where can they buy it? I think what we might do is we might send out a little link next week to access this delicious wine for you guys if you want to buy some. But you can also go to the Rare Hair website, and they've got a wine shop online, and you can order the wine and join their wine club and all those kind of things and buy all of the other wines, except I think for the Repent Nebbiolo, which I think you need to talk directly to Jerry about. Is that right? I believe so. What's in the next tasting box, Karen? Super secret. If Daniel Andrews doesn't let us know. They're going to do it at home for a couple of weeks. Oh, how exciting. Oh, my God. Oh, Jerry. Wow. That could be exciting. So Doot 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 is the fine dining of Jackalope. So yeah, keep an eye on that. If we're not allowed out, then there's some treats to be had at home, which sounds very exciting. 4 courses, 100ml wine matches. Super duper. Thank you, Jerry. So Karen, I haven't decided what's in the next tasting box, but I better get my skates on and get on with it because I've got to get some up to New South Wales before we all run out of wine. And Dan does drink wine, Craig. He does. And in fact, a little birdie told me he's been buying Moorooduc Estate and drinking duck Pinot Noir, which is probably the only way he gets through his fabulous daily chats to the world. That's just a secret between us, by the way. Now, Jeff, what are we drinking next week? Tasting. What are we tasting next week? It is a Robinson something. See how well I've done my homework? Did you like that picture of Jerry on the front page? I thought that was pretty good. I think it's true. It's true, Craig. 2012 Robinson Vineyard Pinot coming home strong with the last wine of the box. 2012 is the wines from 2012 were not very well received when they were first released, and they all will that they are all looking absolutely delicious now. Sorry, I was just get distracted by Ben. All the good wine and food. Yeah, I know. It'll all come good in the end. It'll be fine. Geraldine, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute delight to chat to you, and it's been an absolute delight to drink your wine tonight on this rainy, stormy winter night. And you'll have noticed no Reggie tonight. He's still on the balcony out the front. He's too scared to even head out in the rain. I don't think he's going to go to bed tonight. He's sitting there looking very unhappy and working out how he's going to get back to his wall. 2012, the balanced vintage, absolutely, Jerry. You can come back and join us again next week if you like. I'll fling you a bottle. And Kenneth, that 2011 Robinson Pinot is an absolute stunner, and I have a little feeling that wine might be making its way into the next box. So it's been lovely to see you all. Much news for next week. New tasting box, 2012 Robinson Pinot. We're going to... Who's cracked it over the newsletter? I don't know what's going on. Excellent. Love you all. Have a lovely evening.